questions from our guests in the WorksApp environment where we are right now. If you are watching us on YouTube later, then you can send questions to the speakers' emails. I cannot promise that they will answer. And we're happy to welcome the technology company Tesla founders Kristel and Marko Kruustükid. Would you answer an email with a question that at that conference you were speaking about this, but what about that? Well, I do try to answer questions as much as I can. A couple of weeks ago I went to Tartu University and I spoke to young students and I got 200 questions. I categorized all of them and I am planning to answer them at one point because there were lots of similar questions. So yes, questions should be asked, but of course it's not possible to always answer everyone. How many emails do you get a day on average? Well, I try to make sure that we get as little as possible all kinds of rules and spam filters, but when it comes to essential ones, then maybe about 50. I've been able to get it under control. I've not got it under control yet. End of comment. So 200, I don't know. Marko can maybe help you categorize and filter. Oh, he has helped me a lot. And when I open your inbox, when you ask for help sometimes, then I just close my eyes and peek a little bit. You look at it through a filter, yes. Marko, what are the tips to reduce the number of emails in your life? I think we all receive more than we'd like. Well, the main thing is that I have an inbox zero approach. There are different tactics on how to make sure that your inbox is at zero. The main thing is that all kinds of advertising and mailing lists, when you get random emails, you need to unsubscribe. That's the main thing. Just make sure that you don't get more and more. And then all the activities related to work or other things. If you can answer, then answer right away. And it means you need to be very systemic and think differently. So you don't start thinking big and writing at length. Be quick. And if it takes longer, then you respond briefly that I will answer in 2 days, and you set it on snooze and it will come back to you. But the goal is that you don't have this full inbox, not like Kristel, like 100,000 emails. Not quite that many, but I too have tried to learn from Marko, and sometimes I'm also very good at it, that I snooze the emails and I mark it on my calendar that I deal with the email. Marko has taught me a lot about being systemic. And often I sort of am in chaos. So we work well in a tandem. And actually, it means that it reflects how you function in a way. Yes, it's an example of how we complement each other more generally. Are you opposites? Not opposites, but we have many differences. It is important to have common ground. When we speak about the relationship working in work and private life, then you need to work hard to make sure that you have that common ground, and hopefully both enjoy the common ground. I hope that the time you've dedicated to us today is this joint moment for you to share your lives. That definitely, yes. But actually, in the past years, maybe the last 5 years, we have taken the time for each other very consciously. So we are founders of Tesla. We've been working on it for about 10 years now. We are parents to 2 children. We have a 4-year-old Aaron and the 2-year-old Artur at home, and we have very consciously decided to make time for each other during the week. Our parents help us a lot with the children, so we can spend time together in the evening as well, and I believe it's very important.
Teie kohtumise lugu on ühtlasi siis ka Tesla alguse lugu.
The story of the 2 of you meeting, is it the story of founding Tesla? No, part of it. Otherwise there would be no Tesla, but there was no direct connection. So you met earlier? Yes, 2010. Well, actually. Okay, briefly. In 2008, we saw each other for the first time, when Marko saw me, and I think I saw him, but I can't remember anything about it. Years later, I showed you photos that I had taken of you. It was the party in London, and it was Krista's last night there, and after the summer she was there for 3 months and was supposed to go back to Estonia, and was very sad and so on. But I remembered her, and I also took some photos of her, of the party, not me. Well, yes, about the party. We had photos of other people as well. Later, when we met again, it was 2010, and I by then had gone to IT college for system development studies, and Marko had graduated from the IT college a couple of years earlier, and I was a member of the student representative office, and Marko with his alumni friends showed up at an event. And first I just looked at her and thought that it's a very nice-looking girl and I should go up to her and speak to her, but I couldn't recognize her, and I didn't go, and I saw that she was leaving and I panicked. And so I told my friends, I will go. And when I was walking over, I remembered that I had seen her in London and I recognized her. And I didn't know what I was going to say to her, but then I said that. So I started speaking about the fact that we had seen each other in London, and later she said like that this random guy came up to me and up to me, but the most interesting thing was that Marko is 7 years older than me, and when he came to speak to me, then I thought, who is this young boy? And boy, really, and I think I wasn't the friendliest to begin with, but then we got talking, and then Marko went to London with his friend, and I went to visit my sister with my father, and we had seats next to each other on the plane, and we spoke to each other the whole way, and Marko seemed such an interesting person, and we exchanged numbers, but not really, right? I'm not that interesting, really. And then we exchanged numbers and went to London, and I didn't have roaming, and he couldn't get a hold of me, and then you thought, and you gave up on me, and I thought it's not meant to be. I sent some messages and tried to get in contact, and her phone was off, and so I thought, okay. And a couple of months later, I remembered that Marko works in technology, and I started looking for a job as a software tester, and so I got in contact with him, and through him I got my first job in a small company where Marko was renting a desk, and he was working for a different company. So we now heard the word test and Testlio, and you are a tester. What does it mean? I make sure whether applications function according to expectations. So somebody programs something and you come and yes, I seek out errors and where it corresponds to my expectations. So you have an endless number of kinds of operation systems, mobile phones that need to run all kinds of innovations. Yes, but our specificity is that we don't have testing in-house. It's all through freelancers. So we have a platform that connects freelance testers all over the world, a Brazilian tester with a New Zealand tester, and they test the applications together, and then the testers have different equipment in their sort of fleet of equipment. Let's speak about numbers. How many people do you currently have? How big are you? Close to 200 employees who develop our platform, our software to connect the freelance testers with our customers. We have a services organization, people who are responsible for customer communication, and then we have more than 10,000 testers from 150 countries. So you covered the globe. Yes, I guess so. Yes, and we have large clients. So we have clients who want to test localization in 100 countries so that the language translations look correct, and so we have people to cover all the destinations, and we have a team who will seek out the specific profiles. For example, we need somebody in an Italian village with a specific bank card to test a payment solution. Who are clients we know of? Microsoft, NBA, TikTok. Really? Yes. ByteDance is the parent company. So you've flown really high, but can you fly anywhere else, or have you flown everywhere? Well, I would take a step back, because there are probably people watching us who are owners of a small company or just about to establish their company. And I guess everybody listening and watching you, it is this destined love story, but you are two wonderful young people with two wonderful children. So how do you go from the starting point to where you are? What has the journey been like, and how does it feel to now manage such a huge company with such big capital, and what was the initial dream or plan? Testlio got started from my frustration in 2012. We have moved to London. I continued my career as a software tester. I wanted to become the best in the world, and I started working as a freelancer on different platforms in addition to my day job, and the platforms were similar to Testlio's platform. And after a couple of months, I became very frustrated, and I came up with this idea that there should be a platform where the testers can work together more. They are remunerated according to the time, etc., all kinds of nuances. And then I, in London, saw this global hackathon. So a hackathon is a meetup of technology experts and build a small prototype in a small space of time. And I signed up because I understood that the problem in the testing community is large and nobody's addressing it. And then Marko, who has been building companies for a long time, started advising me. But we never thought that we could go into business together, because in some sense we had this stereotypical thinking that if you share a life with somebody, then it's not worth. Well, you should keep your private and professional life separate, and there weren't too many role models. But then at the last minute, Marko saw my enthusiasm and said, no, I will do it with you. And we spoke about it as well, and I said that that at the moment in London I was establishing a new company with 2 co-founders, and I had been working on it for about 4 months, and it was the 5th month. And I was focused on one thing, and from my earlier experience I knew that if you focus on several things, it might not turn out so well. And when the date started arriving and we were discussing the ideas, it was the main price was 25,000, and it seemed so cool. And I had been to hackathons in Estonia and in London before, and Kristel had, and I knew what it was about, and I knew how great the experience itself would be, and I knew the dangers to avoid. And I was a bit concerned for Kristel that when she goes, that it wouldn't work out, because if you take a group of random people, so it doesn't need to be a marriage or personal relationship, but when you establish a company with somebody, then it is like a marriage, and you will have to interact very closely. And I knew that if you go to the hackathon and work with random people, then it's 80% or even higher chance that nothing will happen. So that was one of the interesting things when we began, that the fact that we hid it. What did you hide? We actually in the beginning hid, when we were at the event, we hid the fact that we were a couple. And it was actually important because we shouldn't have, actually, we found out later, because the teamwork is the most important thing with startups. We had been together for 3 years already. We had traveled a little bit and worked on different projects together, but we never shared it with anyone because we were afraid of what others will think of us. That so if we ourselves thought that maybe you shouldn't tie your personal life to your professional life, then probably others think the same. But in the end, when it came out, then we were immediately offered tickets to San Francisco, and in San Francisco, with Tesla, we won the event, got to $25,000 in investments, and end of March 2013, we established Tesla and decided that we will contribute 100% to Tesla, and here we are. How many years from the hackathon? In 1 month, it will be 10 years. It was the beginning of November. And speaking about the hackathon, then one person wanted to join our team, and it was 64 people with ideas, walked up on stage and said, "This is this, come join us." And I joined the Kristel's team, of course, and one more person wanted to join us, but this person's mistake was that when we got in, then in the queue, this person was impolite to me, and so we decided that no, this person will not work. So there was a small chance that we would have had a third person, but so we started just the 2 of us, and generally the teams are a minimum of 2 people, and the largest ones were about 5 to 7. But we did it just the 2 of us, and the result was very successful. So when we moved back to Estonia from London in 2013, and then we went back to basics, we went to live at Marco's parents' house because, well, we had never planned on going into business together. I didn't have any savings. When we were living in London, then we were living from month to month, and he was a startupper, and we didn't have much of resource, so we went to his parents' house. But we never thought that, that we already have established a certain standard of living or achieved something, that so we cannot come down from that level. We never thought that. We just felt that the Tesla idea is so wonderful and we can change so much. So this vision really inspired us. And as founders, we enhance each other. So Marko looked at the technology side from the first day, designed the platform. I, on the other hand, was hiring testers, sales, communication with investors, though we worked together on the investor communication, but we didn't really step on each other's toes much. We just encouraged each other to do what we're good at. But I'd say that in the early days, I really struggled because I had no idea what would happen. And when we established Testleo, then we went to the US quickly. We went to an accelerator program, and I remember how we met with 90 different entrepreneurs and successful investors, and they all gave feedback on Testleo. Some said it's the best idea ever, and others said you need to pivot, so you need to completely change your business idea because it will never work in its current form. And I took it very personally. I mean, can you tell, say something bad about my baby? And Marko was always the strong man beside me who had seen the downside, the difficult side of business, and always supported me and said, we'll manage, everything will be fine. And here we are. And so Krista's passion is testing and building the company. That was not the passion, I want to build a company, but it was the frustration regarding testing. But my passion has been building companies, and I've been doing it since 2001. My twin brother, during my first year of college, said, let's start a company, and we did. And started selling a service. I programmed web pages and IT college first year of studies. And since then, I've been passionate about building companies.
So when it comes to Testleo, then this was really my passion, this testing, and I've been joining in with people who are keen on ideas, so being a technical co-founder. And if you don't have money, then you have to do everything. So I've done all sorts of things, programming, well, testing as well. So Marko is superhuman because he knows how to do everything. It doesn't matter what kind of challenge you're going to give him, he will solve this. And his strength is that when the times are hard, he remains calm. And this is one thing I have really learned from him a lot, because before we had some problems with the clients, for example, with the testers, then I took it very personally. It was very hard for me because all these problems were personal for me. Then Marko, as the first thing, always thought about, okay, we have a problem, but instead of focusing on what's the worst thing that can happen, let's start solving the problem. And this is something I have learned from Marko. So what does it mean when you're building companies? Because you said that this has been something that you do. So what does it mean? So what I enjoy about it is that I get to build something that people buy, or it benefits people. So programming. So I like to use technology in order to solve some business processes and some questions. Because programming is that you sit down one evening, you do something, and people can use it. And I really like that. And in addition to that, you get to build a company. So to provide a house, because you can do a lot without a company. You can offer services, you can register some sort of website and start offering services, because you don't have to do it as a company. But building a company is an interesting activity. There are different stages, and Testleo is big. We have reached 200 people full time. So I haven't worked in Skype or Pipedriver wise in Estonia. So as a user, I find that these stages are very challenging because there are stages where you feel like at home, or there's a stage where you have an identity crisis, because we've both experienced these stages where you have to figure out what you do as a user. So at some stages where, like at the very beginning, where you have to do everything, you have to do all. And I was quite happy since I knew that I had already started companies with different co-founders, so we've tried cooperation. So when I did that with Kristel, then I always thought that so that you don't hunt in your own backyard, you don't mix personal life and business, because you have to go home afterwards and talk about other things too. So it didn't make sense. So I always tried to keep away from this. So when it came to relationships and high school or at school, you don't want to have your girlfriend from your own class. I think this is where I started. But first thing I noticed with Kristel, as we started the company, it doesn't matter what time you had the meeting. After the hackathon, because they invite us to come and talk everywhere. So 11 o'clock we had a meeting. And we started to prepare for the morning, for the presentation. But otherwise, your boyfriend or girlfriend, or if you're not living together, you have to make arranged meetings. So I had co-founders before who had children, houses, obligations. Then it was very hard for us to meet even once a week because you want to move a lot faster at the beginning. So I think it was an advantage for us because we could move fast, we could quickly faster solve the problems. I remember the anxiety was so high because I couldn't sleep at night. And 3 o'clock was like, come on, wake up, we have to talk about this. And then you get your problem out there. And then you can get back on earth again. Marco says everything is fine. But if you live like this for many years, then we understood that we have to take this time to be away from work. And then we decided that when we get home, we try not to talk about work. So once we're home, then this is the time for the family. There's a time when we went to a restaurant, we could not talk about work. Let's not talk about work. We were trying to focus, and then we still got back to work. So on one hand, it's very exciting. Okay, let's not talk about work. But so what you talk about? And then it was like silence, trying not to talk about work stuff. So there are moments where you have more stress. But 2 little boys at home, I'm sure that they want their own meetings with you. And I'm sure that this is a very good discipline factor. So you plan your time with your children, because children always help you to say no, because you would not say no for yourself, but you can say that for the children. So if you have a growing company, how you can create this understanding that this is now the time to have children? So how did you organize your work around it? 4 years ago, I think we had 60 people on our team, and then I understood that I don't want to be a CEO. I don't like the job of a CEO. I don't want to sit and watch spreadsheets and think about long-term strategies and implementation, how to develop the executive team. So we hired a CEO. So that is 4 years ago. And then CEO has developed our company so that today I am a sort of separate person, so free radical. So that means that today I can focus on my own projects. So if we want to develop people more, so people would understand what testing is and how to become a tester, then these are the projects I have today, which help to raise awareness. So I really enjoy that. And I think that is the key, that you either hire people because you delegate your tasks, then you have different types of CEOs. Maybe I would have been able to continue if I had hired different people to fulfill different roles. But we have a CEO today who is dealing with the running of the company. So we are members of the management board and we work on long-term strategy issues. We hire people, so have different roles. So coming back to children, and then this is what we have created space for ourselves, so we can have time for children. So hiring a CEO happened at the time when the first child was born. So we had to travel back and forth to the United States as well, because most of our clients are still in the United States. So today our clients are across the world, but United States is the main location. So the company grew that much that we have to be closer to our clients. And we didn't want to move there. So we were always on this threshold that we didn't want to become a tax resident in the United States. So that means you have to spend less than the 6 months in a year, and we were below this threshold. And at some point that became also a bit troublesome. So we thought we will hire a CEO, and that helped us to get new breathing gas founders so we could have more freedom. And when the children were growing and the second child arrived, then it became even more important. So why? It was more important compared to a company in one time zone, because then for us, if the United States wakes up, then it's evening for us. So 5 or 6 o'clock, if we have our meetings, which we used to have them at 6 o'clock, now that it was 5 o'clock, where across the world we got people together. We have more than 30 countries represented. But if you are CEO, then all the meetings start in the evening and last till 9 o'clock that night. So then it becomes a bit complicated, but this helped us free up a lot of time. And you understand what your strengths are. And with Marko, at this point of time, when you made this decision that we have to find somebody who will be dealing with the management issues, then it was really freeing, because I understand that I don't have to meet certain expectations that a society has set for you, but rather you do what is important for yourself and what you enjoy and what makes you happy. And what I enjoy is the testing community, also awareness of people. So this is what I like, and I really enjoy that now 10 years later, when we started with Testlio, it still feels that we are very much at the beginning at the road. When people ask me, where do I see myself in 10 years' time? And then I feel that testing is what I want to do. This is my work in life. But when you used to do everything yourself, and now you have somebody who is managing with the household. Was it confusing? Were you not happy with the CEO? Was it quite sharp, this transition? Not really, because our CEO is a person who really believed in Tesla and was one of the first ones. So we met this person in 2013 already, and was an advisor, and then invested $10,000 to Tesla as an angel investor because he believed in what we're doing and who we are, that we'll be successful. And over the years, he had given us feedback and helped us to hire for a salesperson in the United States who is still in Tesla. And there was a lot of positive impact. So the transition for us was very natural because we were aware of this person and they corresponded with our values. So the CEO has brought clarity for us. That is, we like the things are clear and there's a system in place, there's experience. What we were complaining about, and we didn't want to make all the mistakes ourselves. So it's good that all the stages are in place. You're part of this flight, but you don't make all the mistakes anymore. So because you learn through your mistakes, but because we had a CEO, that means that it's not the question of an ego, but the company is important. We want the company to grow very fast. So somebody who has done things in a bigger company, but it can be negative sometimes because I can't help the company because they can't foresee all the dangers. So, as we know, IT is very popular and young people want to access this. But if the question is how do I manage all this, that you have family, you have children, so how can you spend time with your family and how can you trust all these units across the world that all this moves in the right direction? How can you trust and manage this entire structure? Well, I don't trust. We got the headline now. I think that this is one of the things which comes through experience and the natural growth. Because I remember this moment when we had to hire our first client account manager who is responsible for the client communication and gets the testers together and is responsible for the outcome. Delegating was really hard for me. And then you understand it's important to document your work, that you write down what you do and how. And then you have this kind of constant feedback loop that you ask how things are going, what can I do better? So you have this continuous communication and transparency in the company, which is very important. And this helps to build trust. And today, our people can describe the testing culture and what we are like. But what is interesting is that we have been working on Tesla for 10 years. And the NPS is the highest we've ever had. And so we all work everywhere across the world. So this is really cool. So I believe that this is the confidence you build through trying to prove yourself, because people prove that they are worthy of trust. And of course, in the business, what is important is that somebody lets you down, but you have to work on it starting from recruitment, because if the recruitment is not successful, then you have to correct your course very quickly. So there are no illusions, because at the beginning we were crying at night when the first person said that they will leave. And then we realized you cannot really avoid mistakes in recruitment and creating this culture, because maintaining that culture, managing it is something which is a very important component as the company grows. And this is something which helps to build trust. So how do you do that? How do you establish your culture in Testlio? Culture first starts with founders. So culture, it is us, first of all. So we hire people who are the people we like. And at a certain point of time, we should start thinking about it, that this is the choice which needs to be complementary. It's not too lopsided. And since we are complementing each other, although we might be opposing each other, then we were able to get these complementary skills. So we have a diverse and inclusive group of people. So one of the main values is inclusion. So today we have involved over 30 countries. So we are very inclusive in every sense of the word. So this is something which is adds value. But we first look at the values which people have when you hire them, regardless of the ethnic background or religion. But the core values, that you are a good person. So how could you find that out? So 3 years ago, we were sitting down with our team because our CEO established this task again, that let us review the Testlio values. And then we had about 20 or 30 people in our working group who all started to describe people around them. And so this is where we found these more specific values which describe our people. And so they are our values also today. So this is important, and we communicate that within our company. So we have weekly recaps, so all our people understand what is happening in our company, what is being done by different departments. So we have all hands meeting on a monthly basis where Steve or myself, we talk about a specific Testlio value, giving an example of a person who was very kind and a good person, helped somebody else. So we bring example how we are promoting our values on a daily basis. Be kind is one of the main things. So if you step in, then it says kindness is one gift that anyone can give. So this is different from other companies, because many companies have a very macho culture that getting one over somebody else is part of the DNA. So we are looking at kindness, and when it comes to recruitment, it's something which is difficult to identify. So therefore we try to find this. So who is kind, who's a good person? But you cannot often find out. So when it comes to recruitment, then you improve through experience, because you can see certain characteristics and something which are not matching up with your culture. So there is no winning solution, but you have to be very much aware. Asking about kindness, are you ready to bust this myth? So if we talk about kindness, is kindness an universal value? So here, United Arab Emirates and Japan, Brazil, regardless where you are, the company. So if you talk about kindness, do you understand kindness exactly the same way? So we have certain differences, but the roots are the same. Good people are good in the heart, and they want to do good for others. So they don't stab you in the back.
teises ekstreemis on inimesed, et nagu täiesti
So there are people who are more about their own egos. They are not interested in the team or the kindness. But maybe from your long history, you can give an example that you think that you hire somebody nice, but things have gone really wrong. So how can you cope with that? Because I understand this company is very personal for you. So if something has happened, if somebody is stabbing you in the back, then we need to talk to this person to understand, is this now an issue of unsuitable culture, because the person thinks that they are coming to a different culture, and we have to do a lot of work describing our culture, that you have different understandings, then this is our problem as well. But if certain things are in place where we misunderstood them and then we find out it doesn't work out, then there might be conflicts and other issues. Then at the end, there is no other solution but to go our separate paths. But of course, every person has a place. If they're not suitable for us, they're suitable for somebody else. And if we have investment companies, if you have a boiler room where you have to get one over somebody else to be a winner, then in some companies it works really well, but we do not really need that ourselves. Our sales team is a team which works together. We want to have some athletes as well, because I used to be a runner myself. Estonian champion here, actually. Well, actually, Baltic champion. So this is important because it's character building. As an athlete, you want to go through everything to win, but you don't have to be mean to others. There's a balance. So if you're kind and you have a athletic background, then there's a lot, or it says a lot about you. So one thing, if you talk about recruitment, then I always remember how we have learned to trust our gut feeling throughout the years. So when we went through the recruitment sessions and took people to a cafe, and if the gut feeling said that something is wrong, but on paper everything is really great, there is experience and so forth, we wanted to continue, then it never worked. Because if our gut feeling said something is wrong, then usually something was wrong. Then we doubted ourselves, hired the person, and found out that this person is not suitable. So we trust what our gut feeling tells us.
Have you had any situations during this journey where you feel like that's enough, I don't want to continue anymore? No, Kristel? Well, yes, in the early stages, in the first years, there was a lot of it. Well, not a lot. That's too strong. But there were moments where I thought that what we're doing is pointless, that we're not getting anywhere. And yes, the first years in plural. So there were like 3 to 5 of us. So there were difficult moments when I thought I'm not fast enough, or clients are not happy with us, or not happy. And that was difficult. But then Marko kept reminding me that this is business, that you keep solving problems and nobody is 100% perfect. Everybody's fighting on a daily basis. But from the media, you might be left with this feeling or image or illusion that everybody else is doing good all the time, especially on Facebook. But actually, you need to speak to people around you who have experienced similar things, because then you understand that not the only one who is suffering and who's having a hard time. Everybody is having a hard time, but that's part of doing business, and you need to learn to rejoice in having problems. I read a book written by Ben Horowitz, a well-known venture capitalist, and he in his book said that it's so good to have a problem and learning about it right now, because otherwise it could have killed our company. So the earlier we find out of the problems, the better. So you just need to enjoy it and solve the problems. The main thing about entrepreneurship is that be ready to face difficulties. It's so difficult. The lows are deeper than you could imagine. They usually follow the peaks. When something goes very well, then you can be certain that something is about to go really wrong. So it's really sharp ups and downs. Yes, especially in the beginning when you have fewer customers, fewer people, everything has such high weight, and you wake up in the morning and you feel like the house is on fire. And I sort of stay calm and keep my eye on the ball. And what works for me is this analogy that when everything goes like this, but when you see that the average goes up even a little bit and to the right, then everything is fine. When you're doing excellent, then, well, I don't celebrate too much because I know that something is about to go wrong very soon. And when it goes wrong, then I don't feel very bad. True Estonian. So it's just this average all the time. Well, I am very emotional compared to Marko. But let's be honest, you are too. You have had some moments where you experience the low and you run out of energy, and then I usually have the peak and I feel that everything is fine, and then I remind him that it'll be fine and we will overcome the difficulties together. It's always easier and more fun to do things together. Yes, and that's why you need at least two people to establish a company. Of course you can do it alone, of course you can hire a team, but it is important that you get support from someone. If something is bad, then the other person will take over and say, let's keep going, even if they also feel that if things are bad, then there's somebody who needs to say that it'll be fine. And yes, so we really have supported each other throughout the years. And today we wanted to say that that's the end of the road. True Estonian humor and some dark British humor as well. A couple of questions from the viewers, and we could sum them up. People are trying to understand how your dynamic works. So who usually has the last say? It's balanced.
Ma tahtsin nalja teha kohe, et midagi, aga see on absoluutselt balansseeritud.
It is balanced. What's interesting with us is that throughout the years when we've been working on Tesla, we have had very few conflicts. So most of the time we have similar ideas. And what works well is and is great for quick growth in business is test everything quickly. So you think you're right, okay, let's try it. And you test it out, and if the other person is right, they're right. And if not, then you move on to the next idea. So that's one way. One of the pillars of building a company as well. Don't take long to decide and then build something for 6 months. Make it quick. So I think that this agility and flexibility, if somebody feels strongly about something, then you can test it out, see if it works. So we are not stubborn. If somebody feels passionate about something, then we test whether it's true. Yeah, often the impression might be left that I have this high energy and I have very strong opinions, but I really trust Marko's experience and his ideas. But we are on the same wavelength, and something we haven't really spoken about. But I'm introverted, you're extroverted, so it's also division in areas of responsibility. Kristel clearly is the brighter one who brings shite. Who shines bright, and at first at the hackathon we were on stage together, and I already then noticed that that when she speaks, then people really see her enthusiasm, and we have decided that she is the one who speaks about us on the outside, and I work on the processes on the inside. Now, if we sum up the journey, and it was also very positive that having been married for 6 years already, and when you have the valleys in your business, then you can support each other. This makes helping each other easier. But what's the vision for Tesla? What will happen next? Well, the vision is to become the market leader, to be number one in software testing. When people think about testing, then they think about Tesla first and foremost. How far are you from that? Oh, wrong way to go. But I believe that bit by bit we are growing every year, and that's important. Not so far anymore. At first it was 1,000 times and then 100 times, and now if we grow 5 times, we'll be at the top. So right now, when we are face-to-face with our competitors, large companies, you're valued at around 100 million right now. That was a while ago. I apologize. Is it 150 now? 200? Yes. We're speaking about a unicorn if you do grow 5 times. Yes.
Küll, kindlasti see on üks. Kui küsimus on see, et kas me ühel hetkel
If the question is whether we will exceed this limit at one point, then yes, definitely.
Kristel ja Marko, suur aitäh teile.
Thank you very much for your time. I can't imagine how much your minute costs, and and thank you for the inspiration and your openness. Thank you so much for finding the time. And the two of you coming. And thank you to you, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our story and show others that it is possible to work on a company with your partner in life. I hope you fly high. Thank you. And now messages from the future, because next we're going to watch a video interview, and at the beginning of the interview, the host, who looks a lot like me, says that this interview is taking place in Laagri, but I have to correct myself in advance. We were in Saue municipality actually, so now let's take a look at the future.